Now, Multichoice and Canal Plus negotiations have intensified this as shareholders deliberate over a proposed offer of 125 Rand per share. The substantial premium offer has propelled Multichoice shares upward, raising multiple speculations on the future ownership and potential implications for stakeholders of the group. Joining us now to unpack how Canal Plus is edging closer to acquiring Multichoice is technology correspondent for the Business Day, Mudiwa Gavaza. Mudiwa, always a pleasure. Hello.
Thank you so much, Nolutando.
All right, let's talk about this, Mudiwa. We did get a very long, it was very long, cautionary statement that came out of Sense on Monday. And I think the most important thing to first understand here is that there isn't a deal per se. There's an offer that is being deliberated over.
Yes, and the offer isn't even open yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's only open in a month's time
okay.
after the, what's the day today?
The 9th of April.
Yeah, so it means it's from, they're going to post the circular on the 7th of May. They're going to do a combined circular. So this is a long document, but, you know, there's going to be another long document, you know, where they say they're going to provide even more detail. And then from there, if I remember correctly from my reading, a day after that circular is posted, then, you know, the offer is opened, and then they have about, I think it's 11 months after that date. Your long stop date is the 8th of April, 2025.
Brilliant. Okay, so quite a lot still needs to happen here. Actually, I want to delve into some of the complexities here, because I do believe that there are some complexities. Firstly, the issue of a BEE partner. I know that this is something that over the weekend I would have sent you an article actually to ask you what is happening here. This is something that is very speculative at this point. We have no real detail. But is a BEE partner essential to this deal?
So, whether its essentiality to a deal, I don't think so, but it's in their best interests to have a BEE partner. Names have been floated around. Patrice Motsepe is the biggest and high-profile name, you know, that is in the mix right now. We asked Mr. Maxime Saada yesterday, hey, Patrice, how far? Obviously, he wouldn't say anything, and all they said is that they admire all he's done for the continent and all of this stuff. So they're being very coy. They wouldn't be drawn, you know, on that specific matter. What I did, you know, talk to them about is to say, okay, fine, you're not telling us on that front, but at a Multichoice SA level, Putumanati, what are we saying? And they said that, you know, it's crucial for them to at least maintain some type of a BEE structure. And, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but, you know, they basically see a future, you know, with Putumanati, because it's a structure that existed before Multichoice was listed, you know, back in the Multichoice under NASPA's days. And, you know, it's a structure that could continue even beyond, you know, a possible, you know, let's say either a delisting or a combination of the two companies on the JSE. It has legs, you know, to continue, because the licensing requirements on Multichoice SA are different to Multichoice Group. So that is, so it's in their best interest to think about things on both, you know, those fronts.
Let's also talk about a very interesting line that was part of that, you know, cautionary that was released on Monday, an issue about a feasibility study being proposed for the split of Canal Plus. They seem to be in a bit of a restructure themselves, where they're trying to weigh their options here. And the timing of the deal does determine what happens with Multichoice shareholders. Just help us understand these complexities, Mudiwa.
So, Canal Plus is part of Vivendi. Vivendi is a large, you know, conglomerate. Canal Plus, I guess, is the one that we know and we interact with in this market. I think one of the biggest shows that people will know that is associated with Canal Plus is Blood Psalms. Yes, yeah, Blood Psalms. That's a, you know, combination between Multichoice and Canal. So Canal is quite known, but it's part of Vivendi. Vivendi is in a process where they are. It's a conversation you and I have had, you know, a number of times. This whole issue of how do you unlock value, you know, unbundling, that type of thing. So Vivendi seems to be in a process of looking at its portfolio and is looking to list a number of its entities, and Canal Plus is one of those. They're looking at a primary European listing And depending on how things go with Multichoice, they're saying if we succeed with Multichoice, then we're going to do a secondary listing on the JSE so that we can at least have SA investors continuing to have something they can invest in, that has Multichoice in it on the JSC. That is the argument, that they're making from that point of view, yeah.
I also spoke to an analyst, Mudiwa, that made mention of the importance of super sports, of Mnet, and the role they play in South African entertainment, South African sports,
yeah.
And how the Competition Commission authorities in South Africa may really want to peel through the layers of a transaction, including Multichoice, by virtue of the role that these play within South Africa. Is this a possibility that this deal actually may be very complex, might take our competition authorities a while to comb through?
It might. And I think the bigger debate here, and once again, it's another thing that I posed, to the team. There's a lot of discussion about if Multichoice, which is the biggest media entity in South Africa, at least in private hands, right? You could make arguments about what's bigger, Multichoice or the SABC, but at least from a geographic point of view and market cap point of view, Multichoice is the bigger entity. You've got the deeper pockets, and they're constantly investing in content. And the discussion is, what happens to local IP, the sports, the dramas, the movies, the films, all of this stuff that's being locally produced? Obviously, the IP stays, as South African IP, as Multichoice, but moving forward, what are we doing with this IP, right? Are we using this IP and possibly channeling it through the Canal Plus distribution, network, as they're doing with Spinners right now, maybe showing some of that in Europe? That's one. Two, some of the developmental agendas, right? Think about sport, right? DSTV currently runs, the Premier, the Premier League in South Africa. It's literally called the DSTV Premiership. But they also have a lot of grassroots projects as well. A lot of stadiums, school teams, all of this stuff that they're doing. If you then pass the company on to foreign hands, where is the line drawn? And I think that's where the Competition Commission really has to do the tussle. Is the line drawn at, okay, because you guys are, remember the 20% we keep talking about foreign ownership, let's implement it at a Multichoice SA level so that at least we can continue with these developmental agendas that we have. But now the problem is, if there is that combination that happens, does Multichoice SA stay as Multichoice SA? Does it evolve into something else? And who ultimately, even with the 20%, there's still a look-through, right? Of over, right now, over almost 37%, right? Does the European parent still have that agenda to develop local talent, sport, all of this stuff?
Sounds like we'll be having conversations about this deal for a while, Mudiwa. Yes, always a pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much for your time. That was technology correspondent for Business Day, Mudiwa Gavaza.